Welcome to Thursday Flash Club, everyone. I am Nina St. Germain, and this is Bill Byer. And Bill is going to be running the show tonight. But let me tell you a little bit about Flash Club. This is a space that we get together in weekly on Thursdays to read closely, to think like writers, and to put some words on a page. So the structure of this hour is designed to be super specific and simple. So first we read a flash piece together. We are genre fluid, all of us. So we bring stories that move us as writers. Sometimes Bill will bring a speculative fiction piece. Sometimes I'll bring something classic and literary. So we really run the gamut. Nonfiction, fiction. So we're here not as critics, but as craftspeople who are looking at how a story works, what choices the writer made, where the energy and the heat of the piece live. So then we'll talk about it briefly, and whoever is leading club, like Bill tonight, will point out a few craft elements that might include things like compression, voice structure, the hinge moment, that's my favorite, or the way an image or a line carries the emotional weight of a piece. From there, we'll offer a guided prompt inspired by the story we just read. The prompt is about recognizing technique and borrowing it for our own stories. We'll think of it as trying on a craft move. And then we write. So our goal here is experimentation and hopefully enough momentum to continue the piece after club is over. So in 1 hour, we read, we notice, we discuss, and we make something new. So Bill, what did you bring for us today? And while people are clicking on the link in the chat, tell us what made you choose this piece.
Well, number one, honestly, it's in the public domain. I had some. This is not a piece of technically flash. This is an excerpt from a hunting memoir published in 1913 by Stuart Edward White. The title of it is "The Land of Footprints." So this is a big game hunter in Africa. This is his memoir. In the past, I've read other memoirs like this, specifically by a fellow named Jim Corbett, who was a British guy born in India in the mid 1890s. And I think he passed away somewhere in the 1950s. And he was famous for hunting these man-eating lions. And what I remembered about that book and why I didn't bring an excerpt from that, it's not in public domain. I think it was published. His stuff was published in like the 1940s. But what I remembered about it was these memoirs are all about hunting these big, terrifying animals. And they're exciting reads, but you see the animals so seldom in the prose. And so I was thinking about that from a craft standpoint. And that's why I landed on this piece. And that's why I chose specifically this excerpt that we're going to read. And it's a scene of stalking some lions.
A scene of stalking. Okay, I love this. It reminds me of all of my winters spent ice fishing, where I catch almost nothing.
Almost nothing.
Almost nothing. I'm stalking.
All right.
Okay.
Since it's the two of us, you just want to break it in half somewhere?
Yeah, let's do that. And let me just make sure I have the piece up on my computer. I've got it going in two different places. Where are we starting?
We're going to start at about 8:00. This is for anybody who's specific. If anybody wants to go and find this through the link or Project Gutenberg, this is from chapter 12 of The Land of Footprints by Stuart Edward White. It's about middle towards the end of the chapter. We're going to start at about 8:00.
Okay. I'm just looking for that. Chapter 12, you said?
Mm-hmm.
I was in 10, so no wonder. I was having a hard time finding it.
Did I send you
at about 8:00? I've got it.
Okay.
Okay.
Why don't you start, and then, because I know where it's going to end, it might just be easier for me to break it off where I cut the piece off.
Okay. Should I stop at like their occupants had evidently made off at our approach for a strike a little farther.
That sounds great. I can't find it here, but I'll catch up.
Okay. All right. About 8 o'clock, we found the first fresh pad mark plainly outlined in an isolated piece of soft earth. Immediately, we began that most fascinating of games, trailing over difficult ground. In this, we could all take part, for the tracks were some hours old and the cover scanty. We very rarely could we make out more than 3 successive marks. Then we had to spy carefully for the slightest indication of direction. Congoni, in especial, was wonderful at this, and time and again picked up a broken grass blade, or for the minutest inch fraction of disturbed earth. We moved slowly in long hesitations and castings about, and in swift little dashes forward of a few feet. And often we went astray on false scents, only to return finally to the last certain spot. In this manner, we crossed the little plain with the scattered shrub trees and arrived at the edge of the low bluff above the stream bottom. This bottom was well wooded along the immediate bank of the stream itself, fringed with low, thick brush, and in the open spaces grown to the edges with high, green, coarse grass. As soon as we had managed to follow without fault to this grass, our difficulties of trailing were at an end. The lions' heavy bodies had made distinct paths through the tangle, and these paths went forward sinuously, sometimes separating one from the other, sometimes intertwining, sometimes combining into one for a short distance. We could not determine accurately the number of beasts that had made them. "They have gone to drink water," said Mumbasasa. We slipped along the twisting paths, alert for indications, came to the edge of the thicket, stooped through the fringe, and descended to the stream under the tall trees. The soft earth at the water's edge was covered with tracks, thickly overlaid one over the other. The boys felt of the earth, examined, even smelled, and came to the conclusion that the beasts must have watered about 5 o'clock. If so, they might be 10 miles away, or as many rods.
We had difficulty in determining just where the party left this place, until finally Kangani caught sight of suspicious indications over the way. The lions had crossed the stream. We did likewise, followed the trail out of the thicket, into the grass, below the little cliffs parallel to the stream, back into the thicket, across the river once more, up the other side, in the thicket for a quarter mile, then out into the grass on that side, and so on. They were evidently wandering, rather idly, up the general course of the stream. Certainly, unlike most cats, they did not mind getting their feet wet. They crossed the stream 4 times. At last, the twining paths and the shoulder-high grass fanned out separately. We counted. "You were right, Mavroki," said I. There were 8. At the end of each path was a beaten-down little space where evidently the beasts had been lying down. With an exclamation, the 3 gun-bearers darted forward to investigate. The lairs were still warm. Their occupants had evidently made off only at our approach. Not 5 minutes later, we were halted by a low warning growl right ahead. We stopped. The boys squatted on their heels close to me, and we consulted in whispers. Of course, it would be sheer madness to attack 8 lions in grass so high we could not see 5 feet in front of us. That went without saying. On the other hand, Mavroki swore that he had yesterday seen no small cubs with the band, and our examination of the tracks made in soft earth seemed to bear him out. The chances were, therefore, that, unless themselves attacked or too close pressed, the lions would not attack us. By keeping just in their rear, we might be able to urge them gently along until they should enter more open cover. Then we could see. Therefore, we gave the owner of that growl about 5 minutes to forget it, and then advanced very cautiously. We soon found where the objector had halted and plainly read the indications where he had stood for a moment or so, and then moved on. We slipped along after. For 5 hours, we hung at the heels of that band of lions, moving very slowly, perfectly willing to halt whenever they told us to, and going forward again only when we became convinced that they too had gone on. Except for the first half hour, we were never more than 20 or 30 yards from the nearest lion, and often much closer. 3 or 4 times I saw slowly gliding yellow bodies just ahead of me. But in the circumstances, it would have been sheer, stark lunacy to have fired. Probably 6 or 8 times, I did not count, we were commanded to stop, and we did stop. It was very exciting work, but the men never faltered. Of course, I went first, in case one of the beasts had the toothache, or otherwise did not play to our calculations on good nature. One or the other of the gun bearers was always just behind me. Only once was any comment made. Kongani looked very closely into my face. There are very many lions, he remarked doubtfully. Very many lions, I agreed, as though assenting to a mere statement of fact.
I love that toothache line.
I'm sorry?
I said that toothache line is super
Yeah,
fun.
yeah,
In case it
yeah.
has a toothache.
So, it reads a little stiff. I mean, it's a hunting memoir from 1913.
Hmm.
But, well, first of all, do you have any observations before I bias you?
No, yes, I agree with your comment about it reading stiff. It's hard to read, right? That he could
Yeah,
use some more, he could definitely use some more commas, um, and a nice edit for efficiency of his lines. But
sure.
um, yeah, that was the time though. I mean, we just had Virginia Woolf, right? Before,
Yeah,
which it reads similarly in
very
many ways.
formal.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, is there anything before I jump into my takes on it that you want?
Well, I kind of liked the slowness of it.
Yeah,
As we were reading, it never really, like, gets up to speed, but you have the sense that it will,
right.
right? That all of a sudden so we've got that threat kind of at the end in case it has a toothache,
Yeah.
right? It might
It,
change its mind, and then there's the hunters. So the threat is, like, always there. It began to build, and I was like, "Ooh, this could be, like, um,
yeah.
one of those flashes that, just kind of snapshot." Like,
I,
you know it's coming,
yeah.
like,
I,
he's gonna get eaten by the lion,
right. Right.
and you're
It's
just waiting for it. It's how it
the,
happens,
the
not
the mouse
the mo
trap flash.
yeah.
Yeah. I mean, certainly like a couple of things I'd unpack about what you just said. It does kind of move slow. One of the things I did like about it particularly is some of these sentences wander around like they're tracking. It kind of mirrors the act of what they're doing. There's this one sentence. We did likewise follow the trail out of the thicket, into the grass, below the little cliffs parallel to the stream, back into the thicket, across the river once more, up the other side, into the thicket for a quarter mile, then onto the grass. And so, like it wanders like the act of tracking or stalking these lions.
Mhm.
I, I appreciated that.
Yeah, that's fun.
And then to speak about the escalation, when I read it, I that was the thing that one of the two things that really made me interested in this piece was how he escalated, starting with just some old tracks, just a couple at a time, like I think maybe three successive marks at a time, and then it builds up to fresh tracks, and then they're warm beds, and then we hear a sound, we hear a growl, and then
Mhm.
finally we see some glimpses of gliding yellow bodies through the. So like, there's this sort of ex escalation of tension through this proximity and these, you know, we go from just seeing some tracks to hearing a sound to finally. I mean, it's funny he's hunting lions, but we never really even see lions. He mentions he only uses the word lions like once or twice in the whole excerpt.
I mean, it's also interesting that there's no terror in it. I mean, there are 8 lions 20 feet in front of him.
Yeah, I think. I mean, for me, I think that's what if this was written, if this was modern, it would be very different. I mean, this is like this. staunchy British. Of course, I went first to protect them. It was exciting work. I mean, how understated is? Oh, it was exciting work. I mean, that's how they said they were terrified back then. Oh, it was very exciting. So, like, if you were to rewrite this as a modern Flash, I think you could. That would definitely be something you tweak a little bit.
Yes. Yes. Um, there are
Yeah,
many lions, very many lions.
very many lines. So understated.
I mean, but that I think that understatement actually plays into the restraint, right? Is like that's starting to build, which is why you think
Yeah,
something good's
yeah.
gonna or
Well,
not so good.
yeah, and maybe that's a craft lesson there too. Is that sometimes it's better not to have the big reveal.
Hmm.
Sometimes that there's we're hunting lions. There's very little violence in this. It's just this slow, like you said, it reads slow and it builds and builds.
Hmm.
Yeah. These books are very much like that. Like I mentioned, Jim Corbett's memoir is the same. It's these very slow burn
Hmm.
kind of stories. I also, what else did I have here in my notes? There's a bit of a power dynamic that kind of flips that I felt at least um, once they hear that growl. They're stalking these lions, but once they hear that growl, now the lions are, once they start to drive the lions, it's the lions who are in charge of their pace at that point. They're only going, as far as, you know, until they hear a growl or something, they stop and they wait and then they move on and wait for the lions. So I felt like there's a little bit of a power flip there.
There is, although I like how he tries to deny it. He says, "Therefore, we gave the owner of that growl about 5 minutes to forget it." I thought that
Yeah,
was
yeah,
that's hysterical.
yeah, yeah.
Um, and then advance cautiously, and then they call them the objector.
Right.
Mm.
Did you feel tension reading this piece, or is it just for me?
I f it well, it started to build, right? We were just at that place, it was like all of a sudden, so there's lions, and then there's the broken grass, and then all of a sudden there's 8, and then you can see the tops of their heads, and then there's a growl, right? So the proximity, it's like getting closer and closer and
Yeah.
closer. So I definitely wanted to keep going, like, it started out super slow, and I was like, "Okay." But then as we neared the end, I found myself being definitely more and more, inspired to continue to find out, to wanna know what happens next.
The real tension for me starts in this, the layers were still warm. When they get to where their little nests are and they're still warm, that for me is where the real tension starts to build.
And do you think that's because it's like a tactile experience that there is like a a giant hot body?
Well, yeah, it's a real tactile evidence of how close in proximity they are to this dangerous thing, for
Mhm.
sure.
Right, that you could still feel its body heat. Yeah, that I think that's great.
Yeah. Um, One question for you. There's a line in here that near the beginning, they have gone to drink water, said Membasasa. Do you
Mhm.
think that line does anything more than just, is it just direction? Is it just telling us where the lions are going? Or is there some kind of, does this do something to the narrative as well? Is it like reminding us that there's more to this party than the narrator? Am I-
Well, I think what is it doing? They have gone to drink water, so Membasasa is, like, the one who knows. So he is the we're assuming he is the guide,
Hmm,
and that he's kind of he is the one who's pacing it for everyone else. I assume
yeah.
there's, like, some ownership there, like, he's kind of in control of the narrative and the speed at which they travel.
Hmm,
So if something goes wrong, it's probably gonna be Membasasa's fault. Um, that would That would be my guess. Were you thinking that it doesn't really do much for the narrative?
No, I was thinking there's like just from uh just like looking at it, there's very little dialogue, right? This is
Mhm.
all description. It's all, and there's these couple of just little lines of dialogue in there that, it's this. Is it the same story without them? Is it those lines? Is it just this author from 1913 tossing it in there? I don't, I
Well, I
just had
mean
a. What does it feel different to you? For me, when I read that line, it makes it more personal. There's people here. There's just not a
mhm,
narrator.
right.
It made it for me. It kind of made the danger a little bit more visceral in a way.
Mhm. Right, it wasn't so abstract
Right.
because
Because
all of a
it's
sudden, oh, Membasasa, he knows stuff, he's leading them around, he has a role. Um, I was just looking at the dialogue. It's just, "They have gone to drink water. You were right, Mavruki. There were 8. There are very many lions." And that's pretty much it.
yeah. Now, to be fair, I this is an excerpt that I chose. There's
Mhm,
I don't know an entire chapter, but if you read this whole chapter, there's all it's this is very representative of the amount of dialogue.
mhm. And it looks like they're using it just to report facts.
Like I want to know who more about Nembisasa. I want to write a story about him.
Yeah.
What a great name.
Do you know what Membasasa means? Did you
No,
look it up?
I should have. I looked up how long a rod was.
Oh, how long is a rod?
5 yards.
Membasasa. Well, nothing really comes up other than Land of Footprints, which is what this comes from. Okay. And then
Any more?
there's a band, from New York called Memba.
All right. Well, we're
Yeah.
gonna be Spotifying them later.
Yeah, we will. Okay, so what have you got? It's 8:23. What have you got for us tonight?
Yeah. So before we jump right into the exercise, I just get your mind thinking, like, what if these weren't lions? Could this kind of escalation through proximity work for other things, for abstract things, maybe guilt or love? Could
Mm,
you escalate through proximity towards that? Or could you stalk a piece of something that isn't physically being pursued, like a breakup conversation or scrolling old messages? Could you apply this stalking architecture to that?
oh, yeah.
So
And
that's that.
you could get some, like, real twisted psychological stuff
Yeah.
just in the whole process. 'Cause I mean, it takes on kind of like it takes on the role maybe of, like, rumination.
Yes. Now you're getting it. Now we're getting.
Yeah, right?
So tonight's exercise, we're going to be stalking.
Ooh,
We're going to be
let
stalkers.
let's be stalkers.
Let's be stalkers. This is in. So some things before we get into some constraints that might help a little bit to help focus. The piece didn't have any big confrontation. There's no big reveal. This was, about negative space using evidence of what was left behind to build this tension from increasing proximity. So for the next, what do I got? 25. Let's do 5 minutes. We're
Okay.
going to make a list of things that can be followed or pursued. Could be corporeal, it could be abstract, but just a list of things that could be pursued or stalked.
List of things that can be stalked. I'm just putting this into the chat, with my big fingers on my tiny phone. Can be stalked or pursued. So these can be like literal or
I
metaphorical.
mean, they could be peacocks, or it could be love. It could just whatever bubbles up out of your subconsciousness. Things that you have stalked or pursued. Doesn't have to be stalked. There is kind of a negative content, but things, yeah, something you
Okay.
followed.
This brings me back to high school. Let's do it.
All right, let's go. See you
Okay.
at 31. Okay, Nina. How'd
Okay.
you do? How many did you get?
Oh, I think I got quite a few. I got some that were funny, like
Do you
kind
want
of crack.
to do you want to share any?
Yeah, sure. Let's see. I thought about how before I really got into writing that I was really sneaky about my writing. I would like kind of pursue it in the cracks of my life. And I was super private about it and like
Yeah.
basically like stolen moments.
Okay.
So writing was interesting for me. Then there's like the imaginary island of Cocobolo. Do you know that island?
No.
There's like and then there's the story of like trying to find this island that moves.
Okay.
It's an island that moves, and so, like, if you set out to find it, you might see it once and then not ever see it again.
Researching
Um,
that.
so that one's kind of fun. And I was just thinking about, like, our local fishing industry. So, like, fishing, lobstering, clamming, worming,
Yeah. All
the
the
high
fisheries.
yeah, the hierarchy
Okay.
of the fishing industry, which is a form of hunting, but, um, just trying to keep it local. And then, of course, pursuing my youth.
I like
Uh,
that one.
yeah. What about you? Did you have any good ones?
I think I went kind of abstract with you, but you mentioned right before we set off, you mentioned something about high school. And so the first one was like a bag of weed. Like there's always like in high school trying to find the guy in town who had the weed. Because we used to do crazy stuff to get weed. Now you can just go into a store. You have to like get into somebody's stranger's back car.
No, you're
It's
right. You
crazy.
don't have to get into a car. You don't have to go
Oh, it's
drive
like
like 100 miles.
nuts. My goal weight.
Yeah.
You know, some of those others. Yeah, I'll leave it at those two. 33. So next we're going to take a couple off your list um, that kind of speak to you. Don't do it with all of them, and let's list maybe 3 to 5 details that subject might leave behind as a trace. A dent in the pillow, a smudge of toothpaste, some kind of sensory detail about them that would leave evidence of their passing.
Hmm. Just pick 4 of them or something.
Yeah, 3 or 4. We're going to winnow this down to the actual writing prompt itself, but this is getting us close to it. So, do you think another 5 minutes? You want to pick a couple off your list and try to come up with 3 or 4 details for those
Yeah.
couple that do another
Yeah.
5 minutes.
Yeah, we can do it. Leah, this is Leah's stand-in.
Hi, Leah.
Yeah. She says
All right, 5 minutes.
Okay.
Caw, caw. How'd you do? Oh, you're still muted.
I really just picked one.
Perfect. Did it speak to you?
Yeah. Yeah, I started doing the writing one, and I was like, "Oh, this is just kind of boring, like, what's left behind, like, traces of paper, library books." Anyway, I was like, "That sucks. That's boring to me."
Yeah.
Um, so then I have, like, I a long time ago, I wrote a story about elver fishing, and so I immediately went back into the elver world.
Cool. All
Yeah,
right. So you've got something to stalk. You've got bits and pieces of evidence. So now for the next, we want a little bit of time to chat at the end. So we'll go to 55.
yeah. Sounds great.
Let's write a story in which the narrator follows someone or something they never actually encounter. The narrator pursues them through traces, disturbances, or signs.
So he never catches the elvers. Okay, never catches. Like, can you repeat that one more time? Uh,
Let's, yeah, we're going to write a story in which the narrator follows someone or something they never actually encounter. The narrator pursues them through traces, disturbances, or signs.
they never encounter. Only the traces and sites. Okay. All right.
All right.
All right. So we'll see you back here in 13.
Yeah, sounds good.
Okay. Wait, Bill, I didn't hear what you chose.
Oh, I am doing memory. I am doing, um, yeah, I'm doing memory.
You're
I'll
doing
talk
memory.
about, I'll talk about it after when we close. I'll tell you.
Ooh.
Well,
Okay.
I'm not really sure how it's going to pan out.
Okay. You might forget. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah,
Is this like a memento kind of a story?
it might be. There might be
Cool.
like that. All right, we'll see you in a bit.
Okay. Bye.
That's 55, Nina. That went quick. You're muted again.
Now, what about now?
I can hear you. Yeah.
Okay, great.
How'd it go?
And it went well. I kept trying to like reorient myself to the ever um narrowing threat.
Hmm.
I'm not sure I'm saying that right. I just wanted to make sure that as I was writing that there was always something coming in, getting a little bit closer. It was maybe either compounding or the one more thing that was just getting,
Yeah.
you know,
Escalating.
escalate. That's the word I'm looking for.
Yeah.
So I found myself like kind of pausing, inserting a threat, whether it was like nature or a person or a drug deal gone wrong, kind of the thing.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, so it's getting there. It's moving. Yeah. How
I don't,
about for
yeah, I may not have really stayed on track with my own prompt, but I was trying to write about a man, an older man with dementia from his point of view, and his caregiver comes in the morning, the same man who comes in every morning to help him, and he's slowly getting him ready for the day. So there's a walker and a shower chair and pill caddy, and he's trying to escalate some of these things that would show evidence of memory loss and dementia. And then I was gonna try to like, the turn was gonna be a photo album, and the caregiver is pointing out to the narrator that, oh, do you remember this day? This is the day you took me and mom to blah blah blah. And that was gonna be the turn.
oh, okay. So you realize that the caregiver is actually the child.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh.
But I don't know if that really stayed on track with the prompt but I wrote something, and we had an hour.
The memory game is a tough one. I have a story about someone with dementia, and it's like it's hard to nail down because they're so untrustworthy. They don't even know.
Yeah, I've read that story. I like that story. That's a good story.
Oh, okay,
If it's
good.
the
I
one I'm
think
thinking of. Yeah, I think I've read that story of yours, unless you have more than one.
okay.
For a previous Flash that Leah club that Leah led, I also wrote about the same topic. So obviously, there's something in me that wants to write about this. I want to get it
Mhm.
out there. So I just have to figure out a way to, yeah,
Right, to find it.
yeah, it's getting there.
Yeah, but the narrator is the child?
The narrator is the man with memory loss.
Ah.
So I made a point of view of that way because then I felt like maybe these to try to follow these pieces of little evidence that keep coming up in the story, getting him closer and closer to remembering who he is. Like
Mhm,
the thing being pursued is himself. Is this these memories that are lost?
mhm.
Yeah,
You figure it out.
I'll
I'll be
figure it
excited to read it when you do.
out. Yeah.
These things are like puzzles, aren't they?
Uh, yeah, I think it was one of the Stone Coast um, enrichment things that you guys did a while ago. There was this quote about the first draft feeling like, I think it was like pushing a pea across a dusty floor with your nose. Like that's how I feel with every first draft. Like once I get the first draft of something, it's so much better. The process is so much better after that. But man, first drafts are hard for me.
Yeah, right. And then sticking with them.
Yeah, there's quite a few unfinished things that are floating around in my Google Docs.
I'm really trying to bring some intention to my revision pile
Yeah.
because
Hey,
for
there's a big open call for just 24 hours tomorrow, so
in like
let's
in
go.
in 3 hours, Bill, it starts. You could be the first one in Strange Pilgrims.
3 hours. Yeah. I'm
Mm,
gonna put some stuff in there
do it.
and dump something on them. This hour goes by quick. I don't know if it felt like it went by quick. I don't know if I was talking too much and not writing enough, but there we are, an hour. It's already over.
and just like that. But I think I've got 2 pages, 2 handwritten pages. So that's I mean, if we're on our way to a flash, then, that's like 50% of the way. So I'd just like to say, Kekalilani joined, so thank you for coming. It was great to have you here. If you have anything you want to add, feel free to throw it in the chat always. And we'll be here Thursday.
You're frozen.
And thank you. Oh, now I'm frozen, and I just want to say thank you.
All right.
Yay.
Yay,
Okay.
thanks. We
All
missed
right.
you,
Good
Leah.
night.
Bye.
Okay. Night.